Everybody looking at the watch because, yeah, it is the 24th of February all day. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. I go live on social media answering your traffic and police questions. We do it Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. So we got me for an hour. If you got questions, this is the place to drop them. If you're on Instagram or on TikTok, you can do that by using the Q&A function. That's how I see the questions. If you don't use Q&A, I won't see the questions because I don't look at chat. It just gets too busy. If you are coming in on our other platforms like YouTube or LinkedIn, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, you can put questions in the comments. Actually, that's not correct. Twitter, the API is having a problem. If you're watching us on Twitter, we cannot see your comments at the moment, at which point I would suggest you jump off of Twitter and join us on one of the other platforms. The best one's probably going to be YouTube or Twitch, but you know what? Whatever you feel most comfortable in. And if you're okay watching without being able to ask questions, well, hey, that works too. Okay. First order of business, Vision Zero. Vision Zero is the concept that we can make the roads safer. I mean, that's an oversimplification, but that's really what we're talking about, making the road safer for vulnerable road users and people using the road of all kinds, whether you ride, walk, or drive. So we have something in Toronto called the Vision Zero Enforcement Team. They're a group of dedicated officers that quite literally go out and change driver behavior through enforcement. Now, I'm part of the education component. They do the enforcement. They're issuing tickets with the hope that once you get a ticket, you change your behavior and don't do what you did to get the ticket in the first place. So where are they today? Well, they are in 32 Division and 55 Division. But you may not know what that means. Well, some of the communities, the neighborhoods in those communities are Willowdale or Newtonbrook, the Beaches, Riverdale, or the Danforth in East York. These are communities within those divisions. And if you don't want to meet any of these officers, and I imagine you don't, because if you do, you're probably getting a ticket, drive while following the rules of the road, or at very least avoid where they are. No, you should be driving safely, obviously. That's what we're all about, making the roads safer for everyone. And good morning, Leo wife, my wife, who's watching. It is nice to see you. I don't know if the kids are around, if they're in school already. They're in school. But good morning to all. It's so nice that they get to hang out online with me in the morning. They get to watch Daddy on the internet. Okay, we're going to jump into some questions straight off the bat. Do you ever work with the Rcmp? So Rcmp, as a traffic officer, I used to work with the Rcmp when I was in the motor squad because we would be moving or helping to facilitate moves for internationally protected persons, so dignitaries and such. So yeah, there is call when we work with the Rcmp, but I've never worked directly with the Rcmp. Now, I chat with the Rcmp because I have friends with the Rcmp, and we talk to Josh and Kendra out of Brooks, Alberta Rcmp detachment. So we have a relationship, but in terms of working boots on the ground, generally they're doing different stuff. Okay. Just a heads up, aside from how to ask questions, know that I'm not talking about truckers or freedom convoys or anything like that, other than to say I'm not talking about them. It's just not what I'm involved in here. We're talking about traffic safety, traffic law, and basic general police questions, but we're not getting into politics and things like that. Okay, can I ride my riding lawnmower to school? No, not legally, not in Ontario. It's not a motor vehicle for the purposes of being street legal. You can use it on your private property, and that is all. It's not a farm tractor, which can go on the road. It's different. Kayla Draconis coming in from YouTube. Good day, all. Let's say, what is this? Let's all stay safe and pray for world peace. Yeah, there's lots of stuff going on internationally that is newsworthy right now, although it's not for this show. Yeah, well, we hope for peaceful resolutions and bad things not happening, at least not more than it's already happened. Big Jeff Fresh coming in with a good morning. How you doing? He's also coming in from YouTube. Do we have to buy our stickers? So at the moment, and I don't think there's been any change since this morning, but the extension that was in place for the pandemic ends on the 28th of February. Now, there is a period of time before this no sticker policy comes into play on the 13th of March. I don't think we're going to be doing any enforcement, but I cannot officially say that because we just haven't received the official documentation from the MTO yet. As soon as it does, we'll post stuff. It might happen today, might be tomorrow, but we will be sharing that information as soon as we can. Would I be in a rush to do it, considering you have to the 28th? Maybe wait for some official word. Okay. What is this? Do you need to mod an imported car to pass safety? Yes. If your vehicle does not meet safety requirements, you cannot license it for the road. So if you import a car, it has to meet the safety requirements in order to be licensed. Simple things like I know that bumpers on Corvettes purchased in the States apparently need to be modified because whatever their bumper is, it's not crash tested to the right level. They have to change it. There's different things that have to be done. I don't know the details of all of them, but yeah, it has to pass. Do you have a wife or kids? I have both. And just something that I shouldn't have to mention, but I will mention anyway. If you are in our chat, please be kind. We are here to help everyone who is here and wants information, wants their questions answered. But if you're rude, if you're abusive, if you are not, or if you're spamming, that sort of thing, we're going to mute you. We're going to remove you because we want to make this a safe place for everyone to hang out and chat and get their questions answered. Again, if you're being disruptive, please don't, or please don't stay. In any case, let's keep on going. What is this? I don't know what that question is. We're going to move on.
Here's a quick one.
Okay, go for it.
What are your thoughts on Waze?
My thoughts are, it's my favorite app for getting around town. So I am definitely a fan of it. In terms of, and the reason I like it is because I would rather be moving than not moving. So even if I get to my destination at the same time, I prefer not sitting in traffic, even if the overall length of my commute is not different. So it might be silly, but that's what I like. So in terms of notifying me of changes up ahead, because it's actually live updates, it's the same back end that Google, or actually Google uses Waze for their social information, for the source of users and reported information. So I think it's great. In terms of notifying where police are, it's not telling you where speed enforcement is being done, it's telling you where police are. And generally speaking, that helps to understand what's going on. If a police officer's pulled over, we need you to slow down to be safe for everybody on the road who are working on the road. So that's, speaking to the slow down, move over. Elliot wants to know if I am a cop. Yes, I am a police officer. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable at the Toronto Police Service. I work for traffic services in the Traffic Safety Programs Office. So there you go. What is the question here? Lots of questions about stickers. So we haven't received official word. That's likely coming very soon, and we'll update everybody on that. Can you talk about bicycle laws? Well, bicycle laws are similar to other laws because it's the rules of the road. They're for everybody. So on a bicycle, you're required to stop for stop signs, for red lights. You are responsible to signal your intention to change direction or stop. All those things are the same regardless if you are on a bicycle or a motor vehicle. Can you be ticketed under the Highway Traffic Act? Sure you can. And that is important to know because many people seem to not pay attention to that. Hey, if you are watching this on any platform, please share it with the world. Tap that screen to let people know that what's going on here is worth watching. It'll notify the algorithm to share it with others. And that's on Instagram and TikTok. But you can also share it with individuals. And an endorsement, that recommendation directly from you to somebody else, is the best recommendation you can give us. It means more coming from you. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Twitter, if you're on any of the other platforms, please share the stream on those platforms too. We'd love to get the word out, and you are helping us keep the roads safe. Fact or cap, stop signs on private property are optional. So here's the deal. They're there to keep everybody safe. Obviously, if they're there and there's people traveling and they're not adhering to them, that's going to be very dangerous. Now, can you get a ticket on private property for a stop sign? No. Not unless it's going to be on a TTC or Go Metrolinx lot, because they do have some things that are enforceable. They have their own laws that are specifically for them or for their property. So they can issue some things there. But generally speaking, private property is not enforceable. The only stuff that is enforceable on private property are related to failing to report collisions, or fail to remain, I should say, collisions. There's some license plate things, and then there is stunt driving. Those are applicable and enforceable. And of course, there's also something called dangerous driving, which is criminal and very much enforceable on private property. But stop signs in particular, no, you can't get a stop sign ticket. Now, if you run a stop sign and cause a collision, you are responsible for that collision, and obviously the fact that you failed to stop would come into play for the evidence, and video, if there was video available, would obviously not look very good for you. What do we got here? question Q was asking, would you consider your current position risky? Paper cuts are a big deal. I push paper, and you never know how that could go. But I understand that was a question from chat. So no, right now my risk is standing up too long or sitting down too long. I am not on the road. I do not go out because I'm dealing with an injury from a motorcycle collision. Now, when I was on the road, traffic in particular is probably the most risky police position, which is not something that people. It goes against common belief. People think that when you're running and gunning and ETFing or emergency task force, that's dangerous. But when you stop a vehicle that has an unknown person in it and it's an unknown event that you're walking into, not planned in any way, shape, or form, things can happen. So it is a risky job being in traffic, and I don't think it gets the street cred for being a risky position. Mark Anthony says, hello, folks. Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while, Mark. Welcome back. Alan is back in from Twitch. Says, good morning to Sean and moderators. Happy Thursday to you as well. What is this? Oh, okay. Jeff talking about lawn maintenance. Hey, Sean, Jen coming in from YouTube, and you play tenor sax? No kidding. I played saxophone in grade 8, and I did so very poorly until they figured out that I wasn't actually playing it at all. I was just sort of pretending, and then they moved me into clarinet so they could hide me amongst the masses. Okay, enough about me. I did like the saxophone. It was a cool-looking instrument that I had no idea how to play. Okay. Why can't I do stunt driving on my own property? Because it's no longer something that is not enforceable. In other words, stunt driving wasn't something that was applicable to private property, but as of September 12th, 2021, the HDA was amended to include private property and farmers' fields and school, like everywhere. They were very specific about everywhere being covered. Let's have a look at Instagram. I see there's a question there. Do I think that here's the question. Okay. Do you think cyclists within a dense city like Toronto should have a license? This is a question that's come up many, many times, and it's not a bad idea. There are many cyclists who have no idea that the rules apply to them, and not because they're absolutely trying to avoid being responsible. They're just not aware of the fact that it is a legitimate thing. It's for safety. There's also an argument for insurance, because what happens on a bicycle if you end up in a collision? Who pays for you? Well, if you hit a car, the car pays for you. Is it fair that they should have to pay for you? Maybe you should have your own insurance. These are interesting conversations. Obviously, it doesn't matter what I think. The real deal will be what eventually, if it ever becomes law. I think it's going to be interesting. Sorry if this was asked before. My plate sticker expires in 3 days, but the fee elimination starts in March. What you recommend I do? Well, you're covered until the 28th of February for the extension from COVID. So you're good until the 28th without question. What happens right after? I wouldn't be in a hurry to renew it. It might be required. We don't know yet. There is someone was sharing online. I saw some screen grabs talking about it, but I haven't received official notification through police channels. So we're just waiting for that. As soon as we have information, we'll share it everywhere. Everywhere. Okay. But that was Mark who was asking that, coming in from YouTube. Is there a law against loud music in cars? Loud music, that's it depends, because loud music in the car is less of an issue. Loud music out of the car, in other words, if it's spilling out onto the street, yeah, that's an issue. It's unnecessary loud noise, and it's the same offense under the Highway Traffic Act that is covered by that would cover loud exhaust or horn honking or any noise, even squealing your tires, unnecessary loud noise. Yeah, so there is a law. You shouldn't be making everybody around you listen to your music. It's your music. Listen to it in your car. Yeah. Also, really loud bass. I think all of the nuts and bolts just loosen, so your car could fall apart. Okay.
This hasn't been asked in a while.
Okay.
Can I use AirPods, earbuds, or headphones while driving?
So in Ontario, and it's different for every province and state that you travel through, and you should know what the laws are there before you do it. But in Ontario, Canada specifically, perfectly legal to wear earbuds, and you can cover both ears. Some jurisdictions say one ear only. Ontario, you can wear them. In fact, having hearing of any kind. You can be hearing impaired and still drive. It's not a requirement under licensing to have the ability to hear. So is it the same thing as having music? Well, no. And is it the best option? I would prefer being able to hear what's going on. But you know what? It is not illegal. So you can wear earbuds, headphones, or whatnot while you're driving. That is legal. And saw that we had a giant spike in people jumping in the room. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police here in Ontario, Canada. We go live Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. and we're answering your traffic and police questions. If you've got questions, throw them in the Q&A section. We try and get to everybody over the hour. We're here till 10 o'clock and happy to have you. Also, if you don't mind, tap that screen and show that you like what's going on and share this with your friends and family. Let them know that we're here. We want to get the word out. Our goal is to answer your questions so you know what's going on so you can make good decisions and not get tickets. Because people get tickets just for not knowing what the rules are. They don't even realize sometimes they're breaking the law or they're doing things that they think is required when it isn't. There's a lot of myths out there when it comes to driving, especially with, because laws are different in different jurisdictions. We talk about earbuds as a great example. A lot of people think it's illegal. Well, it's not illegal. It's good to know. Cell phone tickets. Somebody yesterday was telling us that they got a ticket for driving in a drive-through or being in a drive-through using their phone. Well, that's not a legitimate ticket. That's something they have a defense for because in Ontario, you can't, that law doesn't apply to private property. So it's things like this that we want to help educate you on. And of course, our ultimate goal is safer streets. We want to reduce serious injury and death on our roads, and conversation and education is one of the best ways to get there. So we're happy to have you here. Love to if you share it, but if it's just you hanging out, you're good too. Let's see what's going on here. More questions. And Q, I didn't even ask you this morning. How is your day going?
I'm actually having an allergy reaction right now, sir.
Was it a particular question that triggered the allergy reaction, or?
Probably.
Probably. Allergic reaction to spam in the chat. Please don't spam. We sometimes have many moderators. Today we have Q, who is going to be taxed if you, in terms of, pushed to her limits with trying to keep this a safe place for everyone involved. But we are trying to get to everybody's questions. And with that, I will get to a question. Can police look at dash cam footage as evidence? Yes. So there's two ways to get that. Either it's voluntary given, or if someone doesn't want to share it with us, but we believe there's evidence, that can be seized and a warrant ultimately written to take that to protect the evidence, because sometimes it's incredibly important and not everybody wants to share it, but most often we have it voluntarily provided. We then copy it and then return it afterwards. But it's very helpful. We solve many cases as a result. Not just collisions. We solve criminal cases with that stuff. Okay.
This is a very specific question.
Okay.
If you are 15 and you have mom and dad in the car, you are the one that's driving it. What happens?
Well, that's actually a very good question. So if you're Ontario, the minimum age to drive is 16, and you have to have a learner's permit. So if that's the case, not only would you get charged for drive unlicensed, because you're not even unaccompanied at that point, you're unlicensed, the owners of the car, or whoever is the owner of the car and your parent, would also be charged for permitting someone who's unlicensed to drive. They wouldn't have a defense saying you stole it when they're sitting there. So there'd be some charges. Not a good idea, but an interesting question. People, we have Guri asking on Instagram, do people say driving high makes them drive better when pulled over? It's amazing. Some people have said it. It's not actual. It's called driving impaired. It's a criminal offense, and we just arrest you for it. And then they can make that argument in court. Mark Appleman wants to know, once your injury is healed, will you go back on the road or will you continue your social media presence? That's a great question, and it's one that we've been talking about here. So, you know what? If I do get to go on the road, I'm sure it'll be a gradual thing. I hope to continue doing what I'm doing because I love this. This has been a lot of fun, and it was by accident, quite literally, because of my collision that I got into this. But I hope to stay involved with it as long as I can. But I do hope to get back on the road because I miss being able to go out on the road and both help people and help change driver behavior. But you know what? This is valuable. What we're doing on TikTok and Instagram, social media in general, is valuable. And I'm very passionate about education. So I want to do this for a long, long time. Okay. Will wants to know, do we remove all license plate stickers now? Well, now, the date that was provided in the news conference was the 13th of March, I believe. Don't do anything until you get confirmation through official channels. The news is great, but we want to make sure that all the I's are dotted, the T's are crossed, and so on. We want to get that official word, because sometimes information is shared that with the best of intentions, and sometimes there's little things that we need to be ensured or we have to ensure are correct and get the news out. Okay.
Does TPS have scooters?
Scooters? What kind of scooters are we talking about?
Well, not the e-kick scooters, because those are illegal.
Those are not legal in Toronto. So we have, aside from our automobiles and trucks, we have motorcycles. We don't have any scooters. If you mean like a motorcycle-ish vehicle, no scooters. Bicycles, we also have bicycles, we have horses, we have jet skis, we have quad runners for some off-road stuff in parks, depending on the division that you're in. So we have all sorts of different vehicles, but we have amazing boats. We have a marine unit that's awesome, but no scooters. So NYPD has scooters. So they're like a large, not a motorcycle, but not a bicycle. I don't know how to describe them. And we don't have any e-bikes. That's another thing. How do police decking warnings decide, maybe? I don't know what you mean by decking. How do police decide warning versus tickets? You know what? It's officer discretion. So if you're pulled over and you've got a great record and this is just an oopsie-doo kind of situation where it could be resolved, like you take responsibility, you say, I'm really sorry, and it's not something that was significant, a warning might meet the requirements. Like maybe it's justifiable. But if you're doing 30 over or you're doing something dangerous, no, I don't think a warning is going to cut it. So that's where tickets are. But it's the individual officer who makes that decision. There's no criteria like if A, B, and C is met, we're going to give you a warning. But it's entirely different. So you know what? Be nice. It's a good start. It's the best start. Let's see. Let's see what's going on. Can someone younger than 16 in Ontario drive from the U.S.? No. The minimum age in Ontario is 16. If you're under the age of 16, you cannot drive. And I don't think anyone can be fully licensed from the U.S. With a full license, which because there are learner's permits, and learner's permits from out of the country or out of province are not valid here. And likewise, they're not valid. Ours aren't valid anywhere else either. Those are learner's permits that require the supervision of a licensed driver with a G-class license. So it has to, first of all, if the person coming in from outside, they'd have to have an equivalent, but it's my understanding they have to be at least 16. Okay. Moving on.
What's the charge for altering an e-bike?
Oh, so altering isn't specific enough. If your e-bike is modified to no longer meet the requirements of an e-bike, it turns it into a motor vehicle. That turns it into a motorcycle, which would require a motorcycle license, full insurance, and a license plate. So if you were to take, for instance, the biggest change that people do when they modify is they take the governor off, so it's no longer limited to 32 kilometers an hour for maximum speed. Well, as soon as it goes 33 kilometers an hour, it is no longer an e-bike. At that point, you're eligible for a ticket that could get you a $5,000 to $25,000 fine and up to 6 months in jail, which is the fact that you're operating on a motor vehicle on the road with no insurance. That's a big problem. But they're totally illegal as soon as you modify them to outside of the specifications required by the legislation making them an e-bike. Because really they're motor vehicles, but through a magic wave of the wand, they're considered to be bicycles. And it's a little bit weird, but we go with it. Don't modify your e-bikes. I've seen e-bikes do 60, 70K. Those are absolutely motorcycles, and they're dangerous. They're not designed for that speed. The brakes aren't designed to stop them from that speed. It's just a bad day at the office all the way around.
My taxes are going towards this?
Oh my goodness, my favorite question. Kudos to you. Your taxes are most definitely going towards driver education, traffic safety, traffic education, educating right now 1,100 people just in the room on TikTok alone. And we've got people across all platforms. We're on Instagram Live. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, LinkedIn Live. So yeah, your tax dollars are going to paying for a police officer who is off the road teaching people about traffic safety, answering their questions. Absolutely. Best money you could possibly be spending. So thank you for your contributions if you're an Ontario resident paying towards this program. But it's got the support of our command team, our superintendent here at Traffic Services, even the chief, who, my understanding, wants to come back and say hello to everybody on TikTok again. He was on our show. We did an interview with him a couple months ago, end of last year. But I understand he's coming back to do it again. So yeah, social media, it's the way of the future. We are here because you are here. If you were somewhere else, we'd be somewhere else too.
Scott Marshall makes a very good point. Road safety is everyone's responsibility.
Absolutely. And good morning, Scott. Scott is he is the safe driver. He's here on TikTok. He's a blogger. He's a YouTuber. He's a TikToker. He's a podcaster. He's the man about town when it comes to traffic safety from an education of driver education, because he's a driving instructor, an instructor of instructors. He teaches people to drive. To instruct driving, to teach drive. Yeah, there you go. So if you've got questions, you should follow him about techniques and tips about driving, becoming a licensed driver, your G1, your G2, your G license tests, things like that. He's that guy. Okay. Are 4-point harnesses, seatbelts illegal? Yes, they're not road safe. You cannot take out an OEM seatbelt to replace it with a harness. Those harnesses, for various reasons, are not permitted on the road. One of them is they're rarely installed correctly. Even if they are installed correctly, they're rarely worn correctly, because most professional racers need to have somebody else in their pit crew secure them in the seat, because you have to be one with the seat. It is not simply a buckle up and go. There's no tensioner on there. Additionally, the seat belts need to be replaced on a regular basis. There's so many reasons, but if you were to put a harness system in your car in Ontario for use on the track, when you were on the road, you'd have to wear your conventional seat belt on top of it, which would look absolutely ridiculous. Just saying, if you were going for props, you'd look silly. But additionally, when you're involved in a collision, we hope that you never do, but if you were wearing that harness, you would be increasing the time it would take to get you out, to extract you from a vehicle, and that could mean precious moments that would cause delay that could, not have you in a good situation. What are your thoughts on the current gas prices? They stink. I have a truck and I don't like paying for gas. I actually just went shopping yesterday to investigate hybrid vehicles, because they're so high that I don't want to drive a gas guzzler anymore. But at the moment, you can't buy a car. There's nothing available. It's wild. It's crazy. So that's my thoughts on gas prices. But beyond that, they are what they are. Okay.
What are the charges on the ticket for forgetting your license and your insurance?
I'm not sure I understand that question. What are the charges?
What's the written charge on the tickets for forgetting your license and
For
insurance?
forgetting your license. Okay. So if you are pulled over by police in Ontario, you are required to surrender upon demand your license, ownership, and insurance. And that's usually where we start our traffic stops. And make that demand to tell you why we pulled you over, and then tell you what we need. So we need a proof of your license, which has to be the actual card. If you fail to surrender it upon demand, it's a $110 fine, no demerit points. If you don't have your registration card, your plate and vehicle portion, it's the green slip that when you register a vehicle and get your plates, you're issued. You can either have the original or a true copy, which is a photocopy front and back. Either one is acceptable as long as they are current and up to date. If you fail to surrender that, it's a $110 fine, no demerit points. And finally, proof of insurance. That is different now. You can provide the pink slip or an electronic copy. You just need to be able to prove that or show that to the officer. If you don't, it's a $65 fine under the Compulsory Automobile Insurance Act. So that's the deal for those three. You are required to have them. Pictures in your phone do not cover it for your license. There will one day be an electronic driver's license. It's just not here yet. Until the law is changed, you are required to surrender it. People often say, well, why don't you just look it up? Can't you just look it up? Yeah, we can look it up, but the law says you're required to have it. And what you're doing by adding work is prolonging the amount of time it takes to verify who you are, because it's not just a matter of looking at it and saying, yeah, that's a license. I have to verify that it's you, that they have to run a history on it. There's more things that have to happen. There's also security features in a driver's license that help us verify that it's legitimate. And that's a thing. Upsets people to no end, but it's a thing. Do you have to signal if no one is around? The rules are that that you're required to signal if it affects the operation of any other vehicle on the road. If there's nobody around, no, technically you don't. But do you really know that there's no one around? How many times have you looked over your shoulder or started moving and you had no idea that there was somebody there because you weren't aware? Well, obviously, if no one's around, there's no one to give you a ticket either. But if there is somebody around, expect a ticket, or the potential is there. Legally, if there's anyone around, you have to signal. Let's see here. If you run from the police in a vehicle and get away, is that a question? I don't know what that question is. What if? If you run from the police, you've committed an offense, in addition to whatever the offense was that was causing police to chase you. But failing to stop, you're increasing the jeopardy that you're facing tremendously. You take a simple violation and make it much more complicated for you. Also, if we have if we have enough to like, I don't even activate my lights until I have your license plate. So at that point, I could just meet you at your house and lay the additional charges and the original ones. How can I tint my front windshield, if at all? Well, the if at all is really where we'll stop this, because you cannot, in Ontario, have any tint on your windshield. Okay, that's not accurate. You can have up to 3 millimeters, 75 millimeters, 3 inches from the top or to the PS1 line, whichever happens first, on a vehicle that is 2016 or older, so pre-2017. That's the only time you can have it, and that's the limit you can have. At the end of the day, you can't have it on anything newer, and it's not a good idea anyway. I don't know why people want windshield tint. That's the sun strip at the top. So windshield tint across the entire is totally illegal, regardless of the year of manufacture. That would be unsafe. You'd lose your license plates because we'd seize them and you'd get towed home. Very often we've had people pull off the tint roadside so that they don't get towed. Sergeant Campbell just joined us. How you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. We're talking about all sorts of stuff and things.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds like I came at the right time.
It's always a good time. Have you heard any updates in regards to stickers? Because we've got lots of questions about stickers and the change of the program. Anything official show up yet?
No, I haven't seen a thing yet.
Fantastic. I just want to make sure, in case things have changed since we checked in last. My sticker expires February 28th. Do I have to update? So that's exactly what we're talking about, Brian. The law has covered you to the 28th. You happen to expire on your birthday, so happy early birthday to you. But the deal is that we haven't received official word, and we are told that the new program will start on the 13th of March, but we don't know what that time in between, the 12 days. So technically speaking, you'd be eligible unless they extend the program, the exemption, which might happen, but until we find out for sure, we can't say.
I would imagine common sense and logistically they would do that. Although they haven't told us anything as of yet. But maybe extend it to the end of March, and that way it gives people time, and that way you're not purchasing one a day before that you have to spend money on.
But that's logical. We can't assume logic will take place.
That's true.
People say driving high makes them better drivers. I read this on Instagram. It might be the same person asking on TikTok now, but that is a false statement. It does not make them better. I don't think there's any scientific proof to that. It does make them criminals, though.
Yes, it does.
And it's an arrestable offense, which we often make arrests for. Okay. Is rolling coal illegal in pre-emissions trucks? So rolling coal is deleting equipment that would be for, what do you call it, exhaust and whatnot. So if you're deleting it, I would imagine that it is something that was installed. If your vehicle came with it, it's got to be there.
Well, it doesn't always mean deleting stuff or removing stuff. It could be just modifying the computer system within your vehicle. And what it does is just adds more fuel to each cylinder for it to burn. And
you say computer, pre-emissions has got to be something prior to that.
No, there are computer systems in cars, especially diesels, back to the basic ones in the 70s.
Oh, really?
Yep.
I don't
mechanical injectors, they haven't been around since the 70s. So, so it's a modification done to increase the amount of fuel that goes into each cylinder, causing it to not fully, completely burn. And that's why you have an awful lot of smoke coming out of the back. It does create more power, but it also creates an awful lot of waste. So, yes, Environmental Protection Act and Highway Traffic Act.
Even if it's pre-emissions.
Yep.
Okay. So that is not legal.
Right. So if you modify it to what to be different from what the manufacturer originally manufactured it, and it fit the original year of manufacture within whatever parameters were allowed at that time, then it's unlawful.
There you go. No rolling coal. Doesn't matter when or what emission standard was there. Why HOV access is GV plates, not custom. So the green vehicle plates, I'm assuming what you mean by GV, are what give you access. A vehicle qualifies for those plates based on whatever the rule of the day is, and things will change as we go. If everyone has green vehicles, they'll probably change it to whatever the newest technology is and raise the bar for being eligible for it. But if you get a customized plate, which is what I think you're talking about, having a vanity plate with your name or whatnot, well, that's not a green plate, and you're opting out of being in that program because there's no vanity green plates available at the moment. Maybe that'll change, but for the time being, it's the plate that gets you in. Hi, Emma. Emma just joined us. How's it going? Let's see here. G1 drivers. Are G1 drivers allowed to drive by themselves? I'm actually surprised at the question because G1 driver is very specifically one that requires you to be accompanied by a supervising driver who's qualified, meaning they have a G license with 4 years minimum experience. That experience starts when they get their G2, and any time during a suspension is not counted towards their experience. So absolutely not. They cannot drive by themselves. Doesn't matter how old they are, how many years they had previous experience. If you got a G1, you're a G1, and that's it. Is there a ticket quota policy you have to meet a day? No, not in Toronto. I don't think there's anywhere in the GTA. I can't speak to anything outside of Ontario, but I'm not aware of anywhere that has a quota. Is there an assumption that when you go out every day, you'll do work? Yeah. If you come back after 8 or 10 or 12 hours on the road and you have issued one ticket, there must be a heck of an investigation to justify what you did, because if you must have fallen asleep, because there's no way. My drive home, on my way drive into work, I observed multiple offenses. So if I'm just driving around, going shopping, and I see a dozen offenses, as a police officer, I see them too. We have to be responsible with the time. You're paying us, so. That's
yep,
it.
And you know what? I expect it. So when officers are going out there, I expect them to be working the whole time that they're out there and doing something proactively, reactively. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and sometimes we go out and we'll do an event, or we'll do an education, or go to a community barbecue, and that's work. It's still work. So it doesn't mean tickets are not the only measure of work. Sometimes we're investigating things or following up with people. Or there's a million things that we do as police officers that is work. Question, can other countries see Canadian driving records? Well, I assume so, because I can see other countries' driving records too. There are agreements in place for interprovincial records sharing, as well as into the States. Interpol has information that's shared. So yes, there's at the very least some level of sharing with, I think, pretty much everybody.
Yeah, we electronically can get records, especially North American records. They're pretty easy to get. European, other countries, yeah, we have agreements in place that we can request them. Sometimes it takes a little longer, but
at the end of the day, don't do bad things.
Then you won't have a record.
And don't have a record.
What was that?
That
looks like a fire alarm. Stand by, folks. I'm trying to prevent you from the annoying noise. Apparently, this is a test of the fire alarm system, so we will not be ending, but we will mute you for a moment to save your ears.
Did you meet all platforms?
I muted him across Restream.
And we still have lots of loud noise. Sorry, folks. Just be another, hopefully only a few more seconds, minutes, maybe.
Everybody in chat is saying, "Oh no, Q's ears."
Well, I'm muting everybody, so Q, you shouldn't hear it either. Oh, it may have ended. It appears to have ended. That is good. Oh, that was horrible.
What are you saying?
Yeah, I
Can't
know.
hear
What?
you.
What? That was no fun.
Well, we did find out it was only a test, so
Yes.
we're not on fire.
Which is good because I was actually not looking forward to being outside in the cold. It is not a nice day outside right now. It's not, unless it's gotten better since this morning when it was really cold.
It's chilly here, but I like the snow. Not enough snow for me.
But you like snow and you like playing in snow. I'm of the opinion that I like spring and fall more than winter. I like winter on Christmas, and then it should all go away. What is the fine for not pulling over when EMS is? And I assume you mean we'll say not just EMS, any emergency vehicle. If you fail to pull over and stop, I believe it's $4.95 somewhere in the vicinity in 6 demerit points. Sergeant Campbell's looking it up to confirm, but it's a big one. If it's not $4.95, it's $3.95, but I think it's $4.95.
Just about to have a look.
Yes,
$4.90 is a total.
$4.90. I was off by $5.
Yep.
How about demerit points?
3.
3. I was off by 3 points. You know what? I can't get them all right. I've only written that offense once actually, and actually was it? Yeah, once. Once I think I've written it, but. It is it is one that I think should be written more often. The problem is that we're usually going somewhere, and we are going somewhere that is urgent, and we need to get there. So it doesn't make sense for us to pull over at that time. So sometimes we review the tapes to try and contact people afterwards, or if we have multiple people responding, or if I see someone else responding and I'm going, then I pull them over. So, but it's that perfect secret sauce combination of opportunity to catch people when they're not doing things appropriately.
Yeah, people do some strange things when there's an emergency vehicle behind them. It was said yesterday that sometimes it's quicker and safer to turn off your emergency equipment and just, make your way through traffic normally than it is to put the lights and sirens on, because people do some dumb things. Slam on the brakes in front of you, stop in the middle of the road, stop in the middle of the highway. I've seen it all.
It's amazing. It's truly amazing. Question from Mom of Maple says, should you fight an unlawful ticket? Well, if it's unlawful, I don't know what the ticket is that you're referring to, but if you think you have a defense, then you have a right to take it to court. It's all about whether or not you think you were doing something wrong. You would then have an opportunity in court.
Absolutely.
Okay. Can I go on my phone when I'm in a drive-thru? I posted a video about this yesterday, as a matter of fact, and yes, you can. The Highway Traffic Act, the charge of distracted driving or handheld communication device or entertainment device does not apply on private property. Is it a safe practice? Driving around while on your phone obviously isn't, but if you're in a drive-thru, you're just going to pay with your phone, that's not illegal, and I would even argue it's not safe if you're being cautious. Anything that takes away from your opportunity, your ability to safely operate your vehicle in motion is something you need to consider. If it's on a mount, your phone is on a dash, can you touch it? That's a question that's coming in. You can't hold your phone. You can, if it's mounted and you're just pressing momentarily to answer or hang up. Now we're talking on the road, I assume. On the road, you can basically answer your call or hang up on a call. Beyond that, you can't navigate. You can't put in addresses in your phone. Everything like that is use. But again, private property, the Highway Traffic Act offense of a handheld communication or entertainment device doesn't apply there.
And you know what? I just to add to that, if you want to use your phone, there are apps available where your car can connect to it, and it comes up on your screen as opposed to, and it's in a manner that is a little more safer to use and operate. Most cars too. My navigation system, it won't let me enter, type stuff in while I'm moving. So.
Yeah, so there's CarPlay and Android, whatever the equivalent is on Android, and even that gives you the ability of seeing content like your GPS or having the ability to dial if you're not in motion. They do restrict certain content, and that isn't a violation to use, although you could still be distracted to the point where careless driving would be appropriate if you're just not focused on driving and your driving is, you're weaving all over the place because you're trying to figure out your navigation or even change your air conditioning settings for that matter. That could be careless driving. But in terms of handheld communication device, you know what? Mount it, put it away in the charge. A lot of cars now, you put it into a tray and it charges while you drive. You just don't touch it. Use verbal commands if your phone supports it. I talk to Siri all the time. My virtual assistant helps me out to remember when I get home to take things out of the car, put things into the car. I have geo-located alarms, and all that can be done verbally. There's no reason to touch your phone. There's a question, are blow-off valves illegal in Ontario? So blow-off valves are coming out of the engine, bypassing exhaust systems. That is an Environmental Protection Act violation, I believe.
I believe bypass valves are also an HDA violation.
Is that for exhaust bypass, or are we talking? So I'm thinking about turbo, when it, as opposed to the ones for the exhaust, because there's bypass or cutoffs, cutouts.
Yeah, well, there's also solenoid-activated mechanical ones that vehicles can be fitted with. When they go to the track, they open them up, allowing a little more exhaust flow coming out of them. They're unlawful to be used on the road as well.
Yes. So regardless if you're talking about the ones up front in the engine that are followed up or considered illegal from the environmental protection side of things, or if it's exhaust related, it would be HTA for improper exhaust, or a myriad. There's other charges that would also apply because you're also at that point creating too much noise. All those things could be an issue. Don't modify things without talking to a mechanic and asking us questions. So thank you for asking. We can hopefully save you a ticket and some unnecessary modifications to your vehicle. And also the environmental protection ones, that's expensive. Those are big charges.
Sergeant Campbell and Officer Sean Shapiro, what inspired you both to become officers?
Ooh. I think I saw that on the screen. Here, I can put it up on the screen. I just saw, what did you want? What did make you, why did you want to become a police officer? I'll let you start.
Oh, thanks. Put me on the spot. You know what? I just like doing the right thing for the right reason. You know what? When you look at society, everybody just wants to get along in society. Everybody wants to, to live together with everybody. And if one person out of the whole group causes something wrong, causes injury, causes harm, causes distress, somebody's got to stand up and say, hey, that's wrong. You shouldn't be able to do that. So that was kind of my initial thought. It's a fun career. It's an amazingly fun career. Every day I come in, there's something different. I work in an office job now, and I do management for there, but I spent an awful lot of time in plainclothes. I spent time doing criminal investigations. I spent time doing youth gang investigations. I've done so much that all within one career that it just absolutely amazes me what I've done, and I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, it is a career with 1,000 opportunities because you can start in one area and finish in another and go back to do things. You get bored. What opportunity? You're an accountant. You're an accountant. If you're a doctor, you're a doctor. Granted, doctors can get into specialties, but you could work in all sorts of areas, and that makes it exciting. But in terms of why did I want to be a cop? I joked. I used to blame my mom because she bought me an electric like Power Wheel tricycle police bike. So I was able to blame her for both my love of motorcycles and policing. But I was a big fan of chips when I was a kid, not just the potato kind, but the California Highway Patrol television show that was in the 70s and 80s. I'm actually rewatching it now, but that was a huge inspiration to wanting to become a motorcycle police officer. I remember being, first of all, I'm 6'5". I'm a big guy, and it really bothered me when I saw kids getting bullied at school, and I intervened then, and I just never stopped. That whole concept of people hurting other people bothered me, and wanting to do the right thing, as Sergeant Campbell said, and wanting to protect others and stand up for what's right, it really stood out as something that was important to me. My grandfather was also in the military, and I had a lot of respect for those that served, and I wanted to do something differently. In fact, if I hadn't been hired by the police, my plan was to go to the military. So there you go. That's the answer. Let's talk about something here. Can I straight pipe my car? That would be an improper exhaust. Not having a muffler would be noise issues, would be illegal. That would be bad.
And you know what? It causes damage to cars. Cars are built to have a certain amount of back pressure in the exhaust system. If you straight pipe it, that back pressure is not there. You burn out valves, you burn out valve seats, things like that. So not a smart thing to do.
But there are so many. Doing it doesn't. What's the benefit? Like, they sound sometimes good, sometimes not good. You wake up your neighbors every time you start your vehicle. Like, there's a lot of bad.
Yep, and the benefit of it, the cost of doing it alone to get the benefit, it doesn't equate.
We got Mom of Maple who has a follow-up question. Says, pulled over for speeding, got a registration ticket. So if you got pulled over for speeding and got a registration ticket and a speeding ticket, that's one thing. Maybe you got a registration ticket in lieu of the speeding ticket because one's a document charge and maybe they were being nice but still wanted you to have a ticket because they thought it was appropriate to charge you. But I can't speak to why you got one over the other. But that happens when sometimes you get the lesser of two tickets. Snow-covered tail lights, illegal? Legal? Thanks. If you cannot see your taillights, they're improper. You've blocked them. You're responsible for clearing and signaling. You can signal all you want. If nobody can see it, it's not happening. It's like changing your light bulbs. If you press the button but it doesn't flash, is it really flashing? So the deal is that if you cover your headlights, if you cover your taillights, if you don't maintain your vehicle, all of these things, it's illegal.
Including the snow that can fly up during your trip. I made a trip last Thursday going up north, towing a trailer, and twice I had to stop and clean off the taillights of the trailer because it was completely snow covered.
And whenever I gas up, whenever I get in or out of the vehicle, I do that circle check. I want to make sure, and I have a brush when I'm clearing snow. If it's dirty, I'll use snow on the vehicle to wipe it off. Clean your car, keep it free. It's one thing to say you're driving on the highway, it's mucky, everyone's got muck because it's fresh, it's wet. It's different to say packed on snow that's from yesterday and it's very clearly not fresh. You could expect to get a ticket for any of those things.
Absolutely.
Why are stretched tires or rims illegal? It's a fantastic question. It's because it's unsafe. When you are taking a tire that is not designed for that size rim, that is unsafe. You're putting unnecessary and pressure that tire is not designed to hold onto. So you have a chance of a blowout. You have a chance of a collision. It's not going to act appropriately. So it is an improper tire at that point and unsafe. So you should be pulled. You should lose your plates.
Absolutely. If the edge of your tread is designed to be forcing pressure straight up into where the bead of your tire and rim meet. If you really wide rims with skinny tires, then the pressure is not being pulled up there, and any pressure that's being put on there could unseat the bead and end up with a blowout.
And the whole majority of the laws are to keep everyone safe. You say, well, what's the big deal? I blow out my tire. The problem is if you're making a corner, you blow out your tire, you lose control, you kill someone. Now it's a bigger problem, right? It's not just about you and the operation of your vehicle and how the long-term effects. It's all about safety. It's just that we're trying to stop it early. Do you miss being in the field? I do. I really enjoyed being a guy on the road, and I hope to one day be able to return to it. I hope to be able to keep doing what I'm doing and go on the road and do everything. I want to do everything. I don't want to give anything up, but I do miss the road. It's nice to see the sun. I have no windows. There's no windows where I am right now, so I forgot what light looks like. But also, I like meeting people in person. I also like getting out to help people. Now, obviously, I'm helping people through education, but there's really something about being able to physically be out there and help.
I agree. The job I'm doing right now has to be done. Somebody has to do it. I'm doing it right now because I had a change from what I was doing before, and I will probably go back and do something different after this.
And that's the joy again of policing, is that you can reinvent yourself 100 times in a career.
Yep.
There's people who come into traffic and end up going into stuff like police dog services. People who become reconstructionists and develop specialties in education that they learn something. We learn something all the time. Will I get a ticket for going 1 kilometer over the limit? Could you get a ticket for going 1 kilometer over the ticket? You could technically get a charge for that. You are speeding. Is it likely? Probably not. Just because, 1 kilometer just isn't the focus of our efforts. Now, that's not suggesting you should exceed the speed limit in any way, shape, or form, but it's unlikely that 1 kilometer will get you a ticket. 10 kilometers? Yeah, you could totally get a ticket for 10 kilometers, and you could get, it really depends on the context. 10 kilometers, in some areas, you're going to be the slower vehicle. Not that it's any more right or legal, it's just that someone's probably going faster than you. If you're in a 30-kilometer-an-hour zone, in an area that we're trying to ensure the safety of pedestrians and other vulnerable road users, then 10 kilometers is a whopper of an offense, and I'd pull you over in a heartbeat. So it depends on where you're going. At the end of the day, don't speed. Speed limits are there to keep people safe. And what is this? Why are stickers going away, and what was the point? I believe it's because they're trying to save money for both the government and for the citizens and residents of Ontario. Beyond that, I don't know what the motivation was beyond financial, saving everybody money.
Yeah, unfortunately, it hasn't been announced yet, the parameters of what is going to be expected. Are all fees going to go? Is it just the fee for the sticker portion itself? We don't know yet, but there's got to be some logic behind it. I like having license plate stickers because it shows compliance, and when people are not in compliance, then there's other things that they're probably not in compliant with, including insurance, and proper driver's licenses, and there's motivation there to get your sticker, to pay off your fines, your debts, your parking tickets, your.
My guru sticker friend, John, my old partner in Motor Squad, knew all of the what's it called? He knew all the color codes. So at a glance, he was able to say, without seeing the numbers, he knew what blue, if it was on the left, meant this, blue on the right meant that. He could just, at a glance, tell you if you were expired.
Yeah, you can also, something you can look at right now, the year on your sticker. Odd number years are on one side, even number years are on the other side. Makes it a little easier to spot.
Someone stole my license plate sticker, what to do? Well, at this point, it's not going to do very much for you. But normally, if someone stole it, it's because they probably put it on a plate that they're using illegally. So you report it stolen, and then you can go and get a replacement. Under the normal, before the world changes very soon.
License plate stickers have a serial number on them. It's recorded with the Ministry of Transport. It's on your ownership, so the number is there. So we can be aware of if that sticker belongs to your vehicle or not.
And missing plate, report it lost or report it stolen. Report it anyway, because again, someone could be stealing it to put on their own vehicle or a stolen vehicle and use it or try and avoid tolls. So if you have a plate that is missing, it could have fallen off and could be in a ditch, but you have to assume that it may have been taken and reported so that it can be on record. And if it's found, or we can associate it with a report, and that way you can also get them replaced. What's the price for custom license plates? I don't know what they are. I seem to think it's somewhere around the $500 mark, but I don't know for certain. MTO would be the greatest place to find that out. Hey, anyone interested in becoming a police officer? We've been talking about all of the wonderful ways and motivations of why we wanted to become police officers many moons ago. But if you are interested in a career in law enforcement with the Toronto Police Service, check out the website, www.torontopolice.on.ca. We are hiring. We are looking for people who want to wear this uniform and go and serve the communities that we serve. And there's police services all over the world, I imagine, that are looking for good candidates, but we're looking for them right now. So if you're interested, check it out. You can apply online. But at very least, you can find out what the requirements are so you can start working towards a goal. Okay. I want to see what questions we got here. We got a whole 2 minutes left. Where are you coming from? Because Gene says I would, but it's a pretty long commute. Coming in from Twitch, and Neon says good blessed Thursday morning. Yes,
Sean, just a little bit of follow up there. Personalized license plates with 2 to 8 characters. It's a $310 fee for the ministry.
$310. That's a discount compared to what I was going to charge you.
Well, there you go.
All right, going to be license plate covers, why certain people get pulled over. So license plate covers are illegal, period. License plate frames, anything that obstructs or obscures the ability to legibly read the license plate. Thanks, Steph. The deal is that if you make the plate unreadable or illegible, it's an offense. Now, if it's a minor thing, and you're still it's still illegible, maybe it's not going to be the focus. Maybe we're not going to pull you over just for that. It's not the focus of our activities. We focus on the big four. That's speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, impaired driving. We're focused on the stuff that hurts people. Now, if you get pulled over for other reasons, would you also get a ticket for that? Yeah, probably. If it's a slow day, could you get pulled over for that? Sure. It is an offense. It is a legitimate concern. It's just not the focus. Would you add anything to that, Sarge?
Sorry, Sean, I was distracted.
There
I
you
wasn't
go.
driving.
Glad you're not driving. The question was about license plate frames and license plate covers, why some people get away with it and other people don't. And I said that we focus on the big four, but that you can still get pulled over for it.
Absolutely. They're all illegal. Even the clear ones, they are illegal. Now, some people put, covers on to protect their plates. It's understandable. But if it covers any portion of it, or if the dirt goes on the license plate cover and then blocks the view of the plate, plates are made with raised letters so that we can see them easier.
To reflect light.
Yeah. So if you put a cover over top that gets dirty and then we can't see the proper reflection or identify the plate, that's unlawful as well. But you know what? Common sense out there. And if your dealership puts on one of those license plate frames, why would you keep that on there? Why are you advertising for the dealership and doing something illegal?
To boot. And so many people put plate frames on and then they put the stickers, which are no longer going to be an issue, but historically put stickers onto the cover. And, it's just bad. And then the sun, beats down on these covers and makes them hard to see through. So you're blocking. So whether it's dirt or a cover, that license plate must be legible. Question says, do I need insurance if I can afford to cover all damages? Well, I don't know how much you can afford, but I know that damages in many collisions exceed and go into the hundreds of thousands of dollars when you start talking, if not millions, because you can be sued up to $2 million in courts related to collisions right now. So, someone who doesn't get to go back to work and is injured for the rest of their life, you are paying for that? I don't know how much you can afford, but that's a lot of money. If you're talking about a fender bender, those could be lower cost, but it's your car, their car. And at the end of the day, it's required in Ontario that you are required to have insurance. So aside from whether or not you've got bank, you cannot operate a motor vehicle on the road without proper insurance. Now, that also means that when you don't follow the rule, there's consequences. If you fail to insure your vehicle and you operate it on the road, you can be charged for, or convicted, if convicted, $5,000 to $25,000 for your first offense, first conviction. Additionally, you can spend up to 6 months in jail. Yeah, it's either or, and so if it's grievous, they may decide to put you in jail for 6 months. Not a good look.
Sean, you have to have insurance. You have to have coverage. Whether you make a claim through your insurance is totally up to you. If you become involved in a fender bender and you are willing to fix your own car and fix the other car that may be involved as well, if it's your fault, you don't have to put a claim through. The decision is up to you.
And also the level of coverage is up to you. There's a minimum required, but you could have more if you wanted to. I have more than is legally required because I want to make sure I'm covered. But you don't have to. You could have the minimum.
Yep, absolutely.
But you do have to have it. This is a perfect one to finish off our segment because Seth wants to know, what are the laws on ATVs in Ontario? And since I never know the answer to this question, no matter how many times you've answered it, I figure it's perfect because you're here.
Well, that's a pretty broad question. There's tons of laws for ATVs in Ontario. Is it operating on the highway? Is it the equipment that's needed? Is it helmets? Is it... You'd have to go in a little more specific, Seth, for me to look at it. One thing you can do is look at the Off-Road Vehicles Act. You can Google it and look it up online. It has all the sections there of things you must abide by.
So there you go. And somebody else asked, and I saw it in the chat, how would somebody who is a citizen study the Highway Traffic Act? Well, the Highway Traffic Act is available for free online You can look up HTA, and you can read line by line the absolutely motivational text that is the Highway Traffic Act. Possibly of the most boring things to read, but you know what? There's tons of information there and things you never wanted to know and more if you start digging into it. But certainly you can check it. You can search section by section. One of the things we've started doing on the channel, if you watch, is reading different charges and the requirements to meet those charges. So I'll have another one of those for you today. So following our channel is a great way of keeping track and learning the HTA. Mind you, if you really want to dive in, you can even buy the incredibly valuable I think it's about $75 to buy the book.
You know what, though? I don't know. Call me weird. I enjoy reading it. Oh, look at this change. Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
Well,
I didn't know you couldn't do that.
We're traffic geeks. We're
Yeah,
different. We're different. Anyway, it has been a slice. It is now 10:05. We are going to say goodbye, at least for the next little while. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. for Friday, and we'll do it all over again. Oh, Australia. I just noticed. Okay, before I say goodbye, even though I already said goodbye, we'll just have a check here. Okay. The question from Australia is, how much power do we citizens get against over other citizen when putting an arrest necessary? So are you saying what is citizen's arrest and how much? Can I put a police officer under citizen's arrest? Yeah, this is a more complicated question that I was going to jump into. So citizens' powers of arrests, if you're asking about Australian law, I can't speak to that. If we're talking about Ontario or Canadian law,
You pretty much have to know what you are doing if you're going to place somebody under arrest. There are arrest authorities, say under the Trespass Property Act, that allows citizens to do. If it's your property, you can arrest somebody if they fail to leave your property. Arresting for the criminal code, it has to be an indictable offense. You have to know what your indictable offense, and it has to be found committing. All those things can put you in jeopardy if you don't know what you're doing, and you're taking away somebody's civil liberties and assaulting them by holding them.
yeah. So if you don't know what you're doing, and asking the simple question on our show isn't training, you put yourself in a situation where you could be sued, if not arrested, as a result of your actions. So if you're not justified in doing what you're doing, don't do it. And if you don't know if you're justified, definitely don't do it. Calling police is probably the best answer for just about any possible option when it comes to an emergency or a criminal activity. Let police do the work that they need to do, because
agree.
That's
That's what we're here for.
exactly. All right. Now that we've covered that question, see you tomorrow.